All right. Everyone, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. My name's Harmony, and I lead customer education and success here for Adobe Podcast. I'm going to give it a couple seconds to let folks trickle in, but I'd love for everyone to just introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where where you're joining from, and first off, before we even get started, I'd love to thank our friends at Restream. Without Restream, we wouldn't be able to be live streaming to YouTube today. So thank you to all of our friends there. First off, if you are here to learn about the basics of Adobe Podcast, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to cover all things Adobe Podcast today. And before we dive in, just want to go over a quick agenda for this next hour. I'm going to go through a couple quick announcements and housekeeping, but the focus of today is really to focus on the primary features of Adobe Podcast, which allow you to record, simply edit via the transcript, enhance your audio, and then share your story with the world. I'll save plenty of time at the end for some Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up. Um, Go ahead and use the YouTube chat for any questions, and we'll throw those on the screen as you have them. So please, yeah, use the YouTube comments for or YouTube chat for comments and questions. If you have to drop early, no worries. We're recording today, and the replay will be available in the live stream replays on our YouTube channel. And then if you need any help from us, we are here to help. So if you have any feedback, please send it to us. We're going to throw some links in the chat to access all of these. So sending feedback, check out our guides. There's a bunch of great resources that will actually be topical to some of the things that we'll be covering today with respect to remote recording tips, how to do transcript-based editing, and a ton of information about enhanced speech as well. And then also, we'd love for you to connect with our community. We have a great forum where you can ask questions, you can stay up to date on recent announcements. So, yeah, please stay in touch there so you can connect with other folks in the Adobe Podcast community. Cool. So here's what we're going to cover today in Adobe Podcast. We're going to talk a lot about our recording tools. So the great thing is that you can capture high quality audio directly in your browser. So for folks that are brand new to Adobe Podcast, you can just open up your browser and start recording directly in Chrome. And you can record solo or with guests. And then once you've recorded, you can then simply start editing your audio via the transcript. So you can use text based editing to start cleaning up your recording. And then from there, you can start making it your own. So you can add things like intros, outros, and music just to make it feel more polished and ready to share. And then once you've got a perfect recording, then we can I'll show you how to enhance it and export and share your content. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right into Adobe Podcast. I'm going to share. There we go. Awesome. And for anyone that wants to follow along today, just go to podcast.adobe.com and go ahead and log in, and you can follow along as you'd like. Great. So for anyone that's brand new to Adobe Podcast, what you're looking at is it's an AI powered audio recording and editing tool designed to help podcasters and content creators produce high quality content. I would say that this tool is for users that really value simplicity in their workflow, which in turn is going to allow you to focus on the story and not get bogged down by the technology. So again, today's all about learning how to record, edit, enhance, and share your work. So you'll see that when you come to Adobe Podcast, there's a number of different ways you can get started based on what you're trying to do. So I would say our most popular feature is enhanced speech. So this allows you to remove background noise and echo. So you can upload audio or video files, which we're going to dive into momentarily. Also, if you're just simply trying to record a podcast or record an interview, you can do that directly in our studio feature. Also, if you need to just simply create a transcription, upload your audio and you'll get a really nice, clean transcript that you can then download and share. And then one of my personal favorites is our text-based editing. So you can upload your audio and then simply cut it down via the transcript. All right. So let's start with enhanced speech. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention a couple things about enhance. So enhanced speech is available on desktop and mobile. So you can upload audio or video directly in here. You just drag and drop it. Here's an example of what it looks like on mobile. So very similar. So you'll see in the interface that you can just choose the file. You'll choose that from your library, and then once it enhances, you can then just turn on the enhance toggle. I'm going to go back to the desktop version, but just wanted to show you guys what the experience looks like on mobile. So if you're out and about in the world, you're recording on your camera. It's what I use most of the time for recording. So you can record on the go and enhance on the go as well. All right, let's go back to desktop version. Cool. So I've got a couple different files here I want to show you guys. So in this case, I actually recorded this with my phone. Went down to the beach. I'm going to play this with enhance off, and then we're going to turn it back on just so you guys can kind of hear the difference. And I would love for you to, try this on your own with your own files, just so you can kind of hear the difference. So let's turn enhance off. And again, I just dragged and dropped this into the drop zone. You'll see it processing, and then it will, once it shows up over here on the right in the player, that means it's now been enhanced. So let's go ahead and play this. Hey friends, Harmony here from the Adobe Podcast team. I'm here in sunny and windy San Diego, and I'm super excited to share an enhanced speech v2 update with you all. We
Cool.
just All right, so you can kind of see I was playing around with the different sliders here. So for folks that had previously been using Enhance, maybe towards the end of last year, you just had a single slider that allowed you to control how much you wanted to enhance the voice and control background noise. But now you actually have two different sliders, as you can see. So I can control how much I want to enhance my voice, but then I can also isolate the background noise as well. So if I want to bring in a little bit of the background noise or ambience, I can control that with the background slider. Now, keep in mind, it's going to be different for every file that you bring in. The default enhance percentage is 90%. Most of the time, it's really solid, but you might need to adjust that based on how the original file was recorded. So I encourage you to play around with the sliders. Let's go ahead and hear another example here. This is our friend Nick. I'm going to go ahead and switch this off, and let's hear it. So Nick, he's in a loud outside environment, coming out of a soccer game. So let's hear it without.
So we're at the Emirates football ground. We've just been to see Arsenal women's team against Manchester City. We can hear all the number of people coming out, and that's a really difficult thing for an algorithm.
Cool. So hopefully you guys can hear the difference. For me, I always like to have my headphones on when I'm using Enhance, so I could really zero in on the sound. But hopefully, yeah, you can hear the change. The thing that's really lovely about this tool as well is that it retains a lot of the natural tone of your voice. So again, I encourage you guys, even if you don't, even if this is the only thing you do today, go ahead and try uploading a file and playing around with those sliders. And then once you've enhanced your file, you've dialed in the speech and background sliders, you can then just hit download, and that's going to download locally to your device that you're working on. So for me, I'm on a Mac. I could just going to go into my downloads folder and access it from there, and then upload it once I'm ready to share it. All right. And also, I want to give a quick shout out to Jay, head of partnerships here for Adobe Podcast. He's working behind the scenes. So thank you in advance for throwing any questions my way. So thank you, Jay. Cool. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our studio feature here. So I'm going to go up to tools. And this is where there's a couple different ways you can access all of these tools we're covering. So for Enhance, you can access it right here from the home page. You can also go up to tools and access it as well. So we talked a little bit about Enhance. So let's talk about Studio. All right. So, Studio, think of it as sort of an end to end tool for recording, editing, enhancing, and sharing your content. One of the things that I'm super excited about is that you now have access to enhanced speech V2 in Studio as well. Previously, you only had access to V1, so now you have that flexibility of going back and forth between the two. Cool. So, a couple quick things before we dive into a project. So, with Studio, you can, as I mentioned at the top of the hour, you can record solo and you can also do remote recording with guests directly here in Studio. Um, and then once you've recorded, you can then you'll get a transcript, a very accurate transcript that will allow you to make editing easier. And so for me, I am not a pro audio or video person, but with Adobe Podcast, I can easily record something and then just start editing it down and moving things around without having to work in a complex timeline. Now, if you are versed in something like Audition or Premiere, the a great use case for Studio is like use it to record. And then if you do want to work in a timeline, you can download your files and then move over to your DAW of choice. So a lot of flexibility with it. Um, cool. So let's go ahead and jump into a project here. I recorded a short interview with a friend the other day. So I kind of want to show you. Actually, let's go to. I'm going to show you the kind of like the final version. So let's start there. It's kind of the this is like what I would be, sharing and if posting it, let's say, to my Apple or Spotify account. So here's I did a quick intro. I've got some background music in here. The recording itself, I think it started out at like 35 minutes or so. I got it down to about 31 minutes after going through and making some edits. So I'm just gonna play it from here. But beyond her art, Brittany's also faced a life changing health journey that completely reshaped how she sees the world and how she shows up in it. In this episode, we talk about her creative process, the graveyard of designs that never made it to production. Cool. So, again, the really easy thing about Studio is that once you've recorded, you can just simply highlight the audio and the transcript that you want to remove and then hit delete. So, I'm going to go ahead and play from here. To walk away with a fresh perspective. Let's get into it. So, maybe I want to get rid of let's get into it, hit delete, and play from here. Away with a fresh perspective. Amazing. Well, we've known each other forever. Cool. All right. So really simple to just again hit record. You'll get your transcript here and then start editing. But I want to go back to kind of square one of how we got started. So I'm going to go back to the studio home. So I'm just going to click on the top left hand corner, and that brings me back here. If you haven't ever created a project before, just hit new project. I like to create a new project per episode. That way you can kind of keep everything nice and tidy. Um, before we jump back into a project, you'll see all of your projects that you've created to date down here. Have a lot of projects. I'm going to scroll down, and if you're not quite sure how to get started, we also have some templates that you can get started from. So you can click on one of these, and that will open up kind of like a templated project for you to get started. And then last, we also have some graphic templates that you can use that will take you over into Express, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. Okay. So here's how we got started. I'm going to go back into my original project. So how we actually started recording was I had a blank project and I invited my friend Brittany, and I did that by simply clicking the invite guests. And you can invite guests into a recording in a couple different ways. One is this first option, which is probably what I would recommend. So you can create a shareable link and then just copy that link and then send it to the person that you want to be recording with. Now, all they have to do is open that up in a Chrome tab. Right now, Studio is only available in desktop Chrome, so wanna that's kind of a caveat there. So you might give your guest a heads up that they'll want to be able to open up in Chrome. and then send that link. All they'll have to do is enter in their name, and they'll be able to hop into the session. Now, if you want to just send them an email, you can choose email, and then they'll need an Adobe account if you send them via email. So there's a couple different ways you can do this, but again, link is probably the easiest and most frictionless. Okay. Right. So once we were in the recording, you can actually talk, kind of like go back and forth, just like you would in Zoom or Teams, and you don't have to hit record until you're ready. So there's the red recording button down here at the bottom, and let me go ahead and show you kind of what a blank project looks like, just so you can kind of see what the blank canvas is. So here you can get started by just hitting record, and then what you'll see as you start recording is you'll see your levels. You'll see your levels as the host and your guest levels, kind of the waveform as you speak. Now, if you don't necessarily want to record, you can also upload existing audio as well. So you have some flexibility there. So if you've recorded, let's say in Zoom or Teams or wherever that might be, you can upload an existing audio file and it will transcribe just the same as if you were recording. So just wanted to throw that out. Okay. Let's go back. Now let's go back to what we recorded earlier, but just wanted you to kind of see what that blank canvas experience looked like. Okay, there we go. And one thing that you can do before you even get started with editing, over here on the left, you'll see some different features here. So filters, this allows you to turn on enhanced speech. So I'm gonna, if let's take a listen without enhance. Let's go ahead and say here.
I would say that I'm a bit of a character, mixed with a bit of a squirrel, and I think
Okay, cool. So we can hear that Brittany's definitely recording into her laptop mic. So whereas I'm working with, let's see, this is a Shure MV7 USB mic. So I'm going to go ahead and flip on enhance, and I'm going to dial this down, let's say to 50%. Let's see how this sounds.
I would say that I'm a bit of a character, mixed with a bit of a squirrel, and I think
Okay. Right. So we can hear the proximity levels have been brought up. It sounds much cleaner, warmer. And so for now, I'm going to keep it at 50%, but I can always change it later on. Okay. So another thing is that when we got on, I hit record. We went back and forth just to make sure we were sounding all right. Our levels are coming through. So I'm going to actually just highlight everything from here on up. Hit delete. There we go. Amazing. All right. Great. So, and then I also don't need any of this. Right. Highlight, delete. So as you can see, like you can just dive right in and start chopping, your recording down. You can also move things around as well. So let's say if I wanted to take this sentence here, where she's talking about I've been doing textile design for a while. I'm going to copy that. And you can use the toolbar here, or in this case, I'm just using Command C. And if I want to delete it from there, and then if I want to move it up here and then paste it, you'll see that in the toolbar, or you can do the keyboard shortcut Command V. There you go. I can move it around.
squirrel, and I think, and I've been doing
Okay, so I actually wouldn't move it there because that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but just wanted to kind of demonstrate how you can cut, copy, paste your audio around directly in the transcript. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to do is you'll notice that in the transcript it highlights all the ums and the uhs and yas. Now, for me personally, I don't like removing all of them. So as you go through and do your initial kind of rough edit, go ahead and listen back, see where it makes sense to remove those ums. So as a for example, let's go ahead and find, there's a moment, I think it was around 2:30.
to one of the Macy's flagship stores, and just to be able to see all the stuff I'd been working on for Karen Scott, and I was just so proud of everyone that I worked with there. That was
Okay, so I might want to get rid of that one there.
so proud of everyone that I worked with there. That was a huge turning point.
Okay. So that cut I think made sense. The other thing that you'll notice too in here is you'll see these little dots which represent where there are pauses. So you might want to go in and remove some of those pauses. So let's see if it makes sense to remove that one here.
And just to be able to see all the stuff I'd been working
Great. So let's highlight the dot. There you go.
just to be able to see the stuff I'd been working on for Karen's.
Cool. So in that case, I might leave that in. So again, as we go through and make that paper edit, it's really important to listen back and see where it makes sense to make certain cuts or leave certain things in. Cool. The other thing too, as I go through and create this initial cut, is there are a couple like really fun moments in the conversation that I want to turn into shorter clips or even audiograms later on. So audiograms are a great way of taking kind of like this magical moment and then turning it into something visual, into video. So there was a section here. I'm going to try to see where I can find it just using Command F. She said the word sparkle. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to create a little placeholder here. Placeholders, you can use these in a number of different ways. I use them primarily for two reasons. One is to just like leave notes for myself. So if I'm editing something a little bit longer, I'll add a placeholder saying like, you left off here. This is where you want to come back to. Or in this case, I knew I needed to record an introduction for this interview. So I put a placeholder at the top as a reminder to record an intro and add some background music. So in this case, I'm just going to make a note here. Sparkle quote. Cool. So I know I'll be able to come back to that a little bit later on. Another thing I usually do too is the stuff at the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to say like, okay, we're going to stop recording. We can go in and just get rid of all of that. All right, hit delete. Okay, cool. So this first project, I just wanted to show you kind of like this is how you can get started. You can either invite a guest or upload directly. And so now I want to show you kind of like what phase 2 of editing can look like in here. So let's go to the second one. So this is where I've gone through, I've made most of my edits. I've added some placeholders. So I've added that placeholder to do an introduction. I've done most of my bulk edits. So I've gone through and removed some sections. I've removed some filler words like my ums and likes and you knows. I've also gone through and added some placeholders of where I want to pull out certain quotes later on. For me, I like to kind of bookend them, so a placeholder where it starts and where it ends, but totally up to you as far as how you want to orchestrate that. Uh, great, cool. So this kind of orchestrated my, this is what basically the skeleton of my episode is going to look like, but I still need to go in and make some changes with the intros and add some music later on. So let's go ahead and do that. For here at the top, I want to add in some music. So the nice thing about music is that you can actually add your own custom music. So your music here, you'll see that you can upload anything here. And then we also have a bunch of royalty free music consisting of like intros, outros, transitions. And you can go through and listen to them to kind of see what resonates, what you like. For me, I like a lot of the stuff in megawatt and baseline, but go ahead and choose, go through and listen. So I'm going to go into baseline here. I think I wanted the transition here. Cool. So I want that right here at the beginning. There we go. And you'll notice that once it gets added, you'll see, you'll see this sort of pink waveform. There's a bunch of different things you can do with that. Oh, and I saw the folks, the placeholder was resonating, so that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that seems helpful. Very cool. So here, now that I've added my music, I can go ahead and click on the two bars here. and I can have it fade in, I can have it fade out, or I can set it as background, so that way I'm hearing the music while we start talking. And the nice thing too is that I can move it around. So let's say if I want to hear it here right where she starts saying, I would say I'm a bit of a character, so I'm going to move that down, and I'm going to let's hear it as background. So do that for yourself and what you do.
I would say that I'm a bit of a character. Um,
Cool. And then if I want, I could have it fade in. Let's try that for yourself and what you do.
I would say that I'm
So we heard it started fading in sort of as we segue into her response. So go ahead and play around with that. For me, I typically like to have things fade in, so it doesn't like abruptly start, but totally up to you and based on your style. Um, cool. So I added in a little bit of music, and you'll notice too with the built-in library, there's intros, outros, transitions, and backgrounds, and you'll see that there's shorter and longer versions. And so I found myself the other day wanting to extend the music a little bit. So what you can do is just upload, the track again so that it like will continue. And the nice thing too, if something is slightly too long, you can also click on the double bars here. Or actually, I'm gonna maybe I only want it to go this long. I don't need like the last few seconds. I can then click on the two bars and split it, and then basically chops off the last 2 seconds, and then I can just delete it. So you can kind of decide how longer or shorter you might want it to be. Okay, cool. Now let's see here. I think we've got some questions. So Jay, do you want to throw some questions on? Cool. So I see, going off track, you're asking, do you know if there might be any more prototype recording features in the pipeline, specifically the ability to drop live markers to playback uh, while you have audio clips? That's a great question. So we there's definitely a lot in the pipeline. I don't think we have anything specifically to be able to drop in live markers while recording, but that is an outstanding feature request, and I will absolutely share that with the product team. Um, yeah, for myself, like when we were recording this, I was thinking like, oh yeah, there are a couple moments where I definitely want to make note of this and turn it into an audiogram later. So yeah, great request there. Thank you. And thanks, Code Peterson. Yeah, it's exciting to see how far along the app has come. I think I'm going to share a little something at the end with respect to kind of what's happening next in podcast and what you can expect. So glad to hear that. Let's see here. Anything else while we're looking at some questions? Otherwise, we'll keep going here. Awesome. Well, yeah, don't be shy. There's no such thing as a, bad question or wrong question. So, yeah, don't be shy. Um cool. So, I want to go to kind of the finalized version of an episode. Um and the nice thing too, actually, before I do that, one thing that you can do is duplicate your projects. So, let's say if you record your initial project, what you can do from this studio view is if you click on the two bars here, you can duplicate it. This will really come in handy, especially if you want to repurpose longer format recordings. So if you duplicate it, then you can chop it up, remix it, repurpose it into something shorter or create clips. So just wanted to mention that you can easily duplicate your projects. Um, you can also, let's say if I wanted to send kind of like this finalized version of the episode to Jay to take a listen, or I want to pass it off to him so that he can repurpose and remix it, I can click on this share button here, and then I can turn this into a template. So basically, I can send Jay this link, and then he can open up this project and change it, edit it to his liking, and then use it without editing my original one. So again, you can either duplicate it or share it as a template here, which really comes in handy, especially if you're collaborating with other folks. Okay, awesome. Oh, and I see Royal Examiner. Any chance that video recording editing will be a feature? I'm so glad you asked. This is so timely based on uh, based on something we're working on. So we are working on video support, and phase one of what this is going to look like is you'll be able to upload a video, so something you recorded, let's say in Zoom or elsewhere, and then be able to edit it down. And for anyone that is actually interested in trying this out, reach out to us via our feedback form and let us know you'd like to try it out. So, yeah, super secret announcement in progress. Thank you, Jay. Right now it's invite only, so go ahead and reach out via the support form. I'll be answering on the other side. So we'll get you added to this group so that you can test it out and send us your feedback. It's still very early on. So we'd love for you to try it out and give us your feedback. And then to close the loop, down the line, we'll also be working to support video recording as well. So yeah, thank you for that question. Awesome. And Cat, okay. Does the enhance filter apply to all sources when activated, or do you have to specify which voice guest? Great question. Yeah. So in this case, I just recorded with myself and Brittany. So when I turn on the filter, it's applying to both of us. So if you, let's say, wanted to only enhance one voice, what you'd want to do is download the files from here, and then you could enhance, let's just say, Brittany's through the enhance speech page. But if you do it in studio, it's going to apply it to both voices. Yeah, great question. uh, cool. And then what about playing back a clip of audio, like a pre-recorded question? I think, if I'm understanding correctly, let's say if maybe that's like I want to upload an existing audio clip. Let's see here. Oh, like a pre, yeah. So what you could do is, if that's already been recorded, what you could do is, if you wanted to add it right here, or yeah, wherever in the transcript, just drop your cursor, hit upload, and then you could upload that pre-recorded audio, and then you could transcribe it from there. I think that's what you meant by that question, but let me know if not. Um, and Jay, I think I saw you threw on one more question. Um, if not, I'll keep going. Cool. All right. So let's see here. I want to talk a little bit about pulling clips now. So I'm going to go down to one of my placeholders here. Cool. This is where she's, yeah. I had asked her, can you think of any pieces that like still haunt you, something that you still think about, that something that you've designed. So I'm going to play that real quick.
Oh, I have so many. Um, I feel like I feel like I we would joke at Macy's, we would have a graveyard of designs that never made it that should have.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take this clip. And you'll notice when you highlight a range of text over on the right in the toolbar, you're going to see this option to export a clip. So I'm going to do that. And now I can download this as a single audio file, or as an audiogram. With the audio file, I can download it as an MP3 or a WAV file, and then just hit download final audio. That'll, again, go to your downloads folder. Now, with audiogram, this is, I love audiograms. These are so much fun. So you can change the size. So in this case, maybe I want to change it to a square. And then let's see here. I'm gonna change the theme. So these are great, especially, let's say, if you don't have an image of the person or image that you want to use. So I could use Doodle. And then for premium members, you can remove the branding, upload a background image, and use themes. So I could turn on the Adobe Podcast logo, or in this case, turn it off. Um, and the last thing I might want to do is add a background image. So I'm going to upload, see, something from my desktop here. And how about that one? Cool. And then I can create that audiogram. In this case, I might not be wild about the contrast with the the font, so I could go through and change, like, something with white text. That looked pretty good. Yeah, there we go. And then I can click create audiogram, and then that will download to your machine. And let's say if I wanted to go ahead and then grab another clip, we're just going to go back to the back button here. Cool. Oh, went one click too far. Um, I also might want to pull out. There was one other moment I wanted to go back to that. Let's see. She said sparkles. Yeah, spark joy. You'll notice that the title shows up in the audiogram. So in this case, I'm going to rename this really quick, um, Spark Joy, so that you'll see what I mean in a second here. Now I'm going to highlight, export. We'll do audiogram. Oops, it's catching up with me. There we go. I'm going to do square. So now we see Spark Joy shows up in the top left-hand corner. We see Brittany's name here. And I'm going to go ahead and upload a different image this time. There we go. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Okay, cool. And I'm going to change the font again. We'll go with that one. And we'll turn on the logo. So I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick just so you guys can see what it sounds like. I'm going to share this tab instead. There we go.
Now I'm just wanting to spark joy. I just want when somebody picks up something that I'm working on, I just want to make them happy. I just wanted to add like a little sparkle to their day because you never know what someone's going through. And I feel like
Cool. Great. So super easy to create audiograms, and just go ahead and have fun with them. Play around with them. There's so many different themes that you can choose from and upload custom imagery. That's something that we actually just added. So um, curious, on your thoughts of like how you might use this. I see a ton of these on social all the time, and again, the way that I use them is just kind of pulling out key moments from conversations so that I can either create like a quick teaser of an interview. But yeah, would be curious to know how everyone would want to use these. Um, okay, I'm gonna go back to let's see here. There you go. Couple other things about exporting that I want to touch on, and then I want to leave some time here at the end for questions. So we covered audiograms, but there are a number of other ways to get your content out of Adobe Podcast. So once you've finessed your episode and you're ready to export that finalized audio, you'll see here at the top the option to download the full episode either as an MP3 or as a WAV file. You can also export out your transcript. So in this case, what I did is I exported the PDF, and then you can put that, make that available in your show notes or however you'd like to share a transcript. Or if you uploaded, like let's say a Zoom recording, and you're just trying to get your meeting notes out, it's a great way to do that. Um, and then the original recordings, this is something that's available to premium members only. What this allows you to do is, if I were to download this, it would download my isolated audio and Brittany's isolated audio. And then I could bring that into something like Audition or Premiere and edit it down. So that gives you some added flexibility, especially if you're doing things like scoring or more fine tuned editing in one of those applications. Um, Great. And then audiograms, we touched on that, but yeah, just wanted you to kind of see all of the different options for downloading and sharing your content. All right. I see Fernando has a question. When recording an interview with a guest, it's helpful to have the camera on. Um, I think I didn't see that last part. Uh, is that on the roadmap? Yeah, great question, Fernando. So that is something that we are working on with video recording. Again, kind of like the first iteration of video will be the ability to upload an existing video and then edit it down. But once we have video recording, that would be something where we could get on, we'd start record, see each other, and we could hit record, and then it would be up to if you want to use both the audio and video or just the audio, in the case that you just want to be able to see the other person. So yeah, it's a great question. Let's see here. I think I saw another question fly on. Jay, was there another one that you had after Fernando's? Nope. Okay. Very cool. All right. So yeah, for those of you that are interested in trying out video, send us a request via our feedback form, and just choose other because there's a couple different options. You typically you say I'm writing about enhanced speech or studio. In this case, just choose other, and we'll get you added to the list. Um, okay, great. I'm gonna go back here out to my final episode. So yeah, let's see here. For those of you that are still here, go ahead and yeah, please go ahead and throw any questions in the chat. We'll be here for the full hour. Um, but yeah, let me know what you're curious about. Let's see here. Okay, great. Going off track. Can you insert a pause while editing using option 8? Oh, great question. Um, the short answer is no, but I have kind of a wonky workaround, but it works. You can add pauses or room tone, like let's say 2 seconds or 3 seconds, however long of room tone to your music collection. So what you do is go ahead and go into your music and then upload that like moment or a few seconds of silence, and then you could insert it where you want to add in that pause. Again, I know it's a little wonky, but that's kind of how I've maneuvered around that. Cool. Can you put the link to video beta testing in the notes, please? Oh yeah, absolutely. So let me show you guys how you can actually get to that form. So let's go back to our main page here. You're going to want to scroll to the bottom and you'll see submit feedback. So just go ahead and click on that, and then you can choose other, and then just tell us what you're uh, tell us that you want to try out video, and we'll get you added. Kat had a question. How many guests can you have on a project, and can you mute them or mute certain guests? Great question. So technically, there isn't a limit, but you know, I would say up to 5 or so. The main reason I say that is because again, it's a web-based tool, and everyone has different internet connection quality, right? So I would say up to 5 is super solid. And then when you're in a session, I'll just open up a project here. Um, you're not able to mute them, but they can mute themselves. So we try to keep the interface as simple as possible so that it's very clear what each action and button is. So you'll see down at the bottom, I can mute myself. So that's how you can go ahead and do that. The other thing worth noting here is in the gear icon, this allows you to switch microphones. So in this case, it defaults to your built-in microphone, but I would want to switch to my Shure MB7. So yeah, great question, Kat. Awesome. And for those of you that are curious about video upload, let me show you what you can expect from this. So we were looking at an audio only project, but if you were to upload a video, this is what you would see. So you'll go to upload, and right now, like today, you'll only see the option to upload audio. But once we enable it for you, you'll be able to add a video file. You'll see the preview here up at the top. So play this real quick.
Hey, Sam here from the Adobe Podcast team. I wanted to tell you about some really exciting new things that we're working on. So we're introducing Enhanced Speech V2. It's a big update to Enhanced Speech that removes.
Cool. So again, when you make cuts, it'll remove the video as well. So there you go. So it's really really as simple as that. So just highlight the stuff that you want to get rid of.
Professional recording studio.
Michael, I'm here at the beach.
Well, easy peasy. Oh, I see another question. So, Andre, I know you probably can't answer this truthfully. Great way to start, but I'll ask it anyway. Is Adobe Podcast stuff going to be incorporated into Audition or Premiere? No. So, the nice thing about like podcasts is that it is its own standalone tool. I for the foreseeable future, I don't see that happening. I think the exciting thing, particularly about this feature or this tool, is that it is literally the easiest way to record and edit and share audio. Um, and the thing also that's really cool is if you're a premium member, you also have access to Adobe Express as well, which is a design and video tool. So let's say if I wanted to create some podcast cover art for one of these episodes I just created, I can go down to the bottom. We saw this earlier. I can go into templates here. I'm going to share this tab and I can easily then create podcast cover art. This takes me to a bunch of existing templates, but I can go in and choose one of these and then totally customize it. I can then go to Adobe Express here, and you'll see that there's a wide variety of things that you can do, from creating video content to working with photos and creating social assets. So yeah, ton of different options. But great question, Andre. I'm going to pop back to podcast now. There we go. All right. What else? We've got a few more minutes. Um, a couple other resources I just want to point you guys to. We referenced our community board as well as our guides. So also down at the bottom, you'll see, let's see here, our guides. And yeah, if you're curious about anything in particular, we've done a couple of great interviews, and then you'll be able to stay up to date on what's new in podcasts. So we covered a lot of some of the newer stuff today. And if you click on the What's New button, it'll take you to this here. And just to kind of recap some of the newer things, so we talked about exporting clips directly in Studio. We talked about audiograms. The other great thing with podcast is that you can work in your native language. So if we go back here, I can uh, change. We've localized the site in 10 plus languages, so you can change the language here, and then you can also record in up to I think it's 6 different languages now, and we'll be growing that list too. But a lot of different ways to yeah, record. All right. I'm going to do one last call for questions, and then we might wrap it up a little bit early. But again, thank you so much for joining today and for all of the thoughtful questions. And I guess last ask in the chat: what are you curious about learning? What can we show you next? So please drop any feedback in the chat as far as what you'd be curious to learn more about. Our next one, we're probably going to focus. We showed you a sneak peek of video, so we'll probably do this something similar, but just for working with video. So let us know how we can improve future sessions and what you might want to learn about. All right, Jay, I think we're ready to wrap it up. Thank you again, everyone, so much for joining today. Thank you again to our friends at Restream, and we'll see you next time.